Well, you have made it to the end of session 1. I hope it's been rewarding for you and your family. Like I said a couple of weeks ago, I think it's a great idea to plan a group outing during the break. We're out for 4 weeks and we'll pick up again starting the Sunday after Easter Sunday. Well, what were your thoughts from the sermon on Sunday? No one ever really likes talking about money, particularly in church, but I hope you were able to make some helpful decisions about your finances based on the content from my sermon. Like you've heard me say before, sharing your takeaways with others in your group can help all of us grow together in our walk with Christ. Now, this video will be quite a bit shorter than most of mine because a discussion around chapter 10 in Genesis is probably not going to produce a tremendous amount of conversation. It's another one of those chapters that is important to the story of human, Jewish, and Christian history, but it's not terribly exciting, and there's not a lot of application to draw on. I'll give you just a few nuggets that might help us understand the broader context of things. In verse 8, we're introduced to Nimrod, who built Babel. That would eventually become Babylon, which became the destroyer of the nation of Israel later. Oddly enough, Nimrod in Hebrew means rebel, which is his legacy. Starting with the Tower of Babel, as we'll read in the next chapter, from Nimrod also came Nineveh, whose people became lavishly sinful, as we see in the story of Jonah, the guy in the stomach of a big fish, not our worship pastor. Now, you may recognize another name in the list, seeing as how we recently finished up a series on early books in the Old Testament, Canaan. If you remember from chapter 9, Noah got drunk and his kids and grandkids had a little fun with him. In response to their mockery, Noah declares that Canaan is cursed. Now, if you only read in the context of one chapter instead of the larger story, that might not mean much. But what we see in the next several chapters is that there's a shift in the way areas of land were named in Genesis, from being given a name for the area to being named for the people who founded it. We see that the land is called Canaan because it is inhabited by the Canaanites. Now, if you remember, the conquests of Joshua as he led the nation of Israel into the promised land, what was the name of the land they entered? Canaan. Noah's curse of Canaan made his people enemy of God's people bunches of years later. I just thought that was kind of a cool connection. Now, if you're like me, you can quickly dismiss the genealogy passages, but I've tried to teach myself to read them, to make observations when I can, so that I'm able to put pieces like that together. It doesn't have a lot of direct application to us today, except maybe to make us more grateful that we are God's people and not His enemies. Now, we'll call that a wrap on chapter 10 and on session 1 of groups. Make sure to invite someone with you as we start our brand new series this coming Sunday, all about how the whole Bible points to the life and work of Jesus. It's going to be a great conversation leading up to our celebration of Easter. Thanks. Take care.